Emblem celebrates its 25th anniversary today. I am going to share some fun facts with you, as well as a history on both the series and my time with Fire Emblem. To begin, let's go with all the retrospective history. Now, it premiered on the NES on April 20th, 1990 as Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. The series was a hit in Japan and spawned a plethora of sequels for every Nintendo console, save the Game Boy, and currently has 14 entries. Fire Emblem If, the 15th game, will launch on 3DS this June in Japan with a slated 2016 release for the West. Nintendo had a great track record of bringing over its main series to the West, except for Intelligent Systems' Fire Emblem and Wars series. To the latter, many gamers will know this series as Advance Wars, but it began on the NES or Famicom as Famicom Wars in 1988. There were SNES and Game Boy sequels, but it wasn't until 2001 with the release of Advance Wars that the West wasn't introduced to the series. Having Advance Wars be a hit, along with the popularity of Fire Emblem characters in Super Smash Bros. Melee, Nintendo finally brought over Fire Emblem as well. It started in 2003 with the 7th game on the Game Boy Advance. In Japan, it was known as Fire Emblem The Sword of Flame, but was simply called Fire Emblem in the West. What is Fire Emblem though? For starters, this has always been a tactical RPG with an emphasis on permadeath. If a character dies in battle, that's it. It's known to be one of the most difficult yet satisfyingly rewarding games in the genre. The battles also integrate a rock-paper-scissors-like design to combat for both weapons and units. For example, a sword bests an axe, and Pegasus Knights are weak to arrows. These units can level up with experience and can even be promoted to different classes. The hero, for example, is usually a lord which can then be upgraded to a great lord. These transformations greatly increase strats as well as allow characters to equip different weapons and apply new skills. The systems have changed over the years but remain the same at their core. Sounds very similar to Pokemon, does it not? This series, like Final Fantasy, are not follow-ups to previous tales. Some are direct sequels or prequels, but for the most part they take place in different time periods or even alternate universes, and they all have a medieval fantasy setting to them. There are other similar themes in each. Just as it is in every Final Fantasy, there is always a Fire Emblem, a mystical source of power being sought after by an evil entity, and the protagonists are usually male, blue-haired swordsmen. It wasn't until 2009 that Western gamers could play the original title, remade on the DS as Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. It had a sequel, New Mystery of the Emblem, Heroes of Light and Shadow, which is a convoluted remake hellhole for the DS. Convolution aside, it changed one of the key features in the series, permadeath. It was never released in the West, so it wasn't until Fire Emblem Awakening that players could see these changes and more. To backtrack a bit, New Mystery of the Emblem included a casual mode, allowing characters not to die in battle. It also allowed players to customize their character, the Tactician, who took a more direct role in the story. These changes continued with Awakening, but went even further. Awakening featured a world map where players could take part in side missions and random skirmishes for the first time in the series, allowing room to grind. Plus, heroes could get married and have children who could then join the fray. People criticized the series for taking out permadeath, while others praised it for allowing a more flexible approach to the gameplay. It's there for those that want a less restrictive style, but with a challenging difficulty. Personally, I love these changes. Again, I love these changes. I was a fan from the first release in America in 2003 with Fire Emblem, and I have played every single one that has launched in America, except for Shadow Dragon, and my love just grows even more. The thing about Fire Emblem that people may not know is, if your character dies, having not being able to replay missions means that that character is lost forever, and not only the character, but the experience you've earned. A level 14 bow guy can just die and then be replaced by another kind of bow guy, but then he'll be back at level 1. That's why a lot of people turn off the game, then restart it to see if that person can live or not. And the system does remember what you did, so you kind of have to replay the mission as a whole. Of course, save states can alleviate that stress, and for the most part, there is a English translation for every single game in this series. I have dabbled in all of these, as you can see the footage of me playing all this stuff, but again, I have only played the American ones to finish. Again, except for Shadow Dragon. Now, having that casual mode in there makes it so that I can appreciate the difficulty in the gameplay, but also not have to worry about your characters dying. Of course, since there is a world map to replay, it'll alleviate that stress too, because then you can just grind and grind and grind if you are having trouble with a particular story battle, and then go in there and hopefully your character won't die. So there are so many options for this, and I hope the options grow and grow for the next in the series, Fire Emblem If, which is kind of crazy too, because it takes the medieval fantasy and flips it around and has a feudal Japan era. I cannot wait till 2016. Fire Emblem Awakening was one of my favorite games in 2013 when it came out over here. I love it to pieces. I love the changes. Again, I'll just keep on saying it over and over again. I hope the series grows. I hope it gets bigger and wider and more people appreciate it. I cannot wait for If. So for today, I don't care if you play one of the older games or the last one in the series. I want you to celebrate one of Nintendo's finest series and play some Fire Emblem today. And again, let me know, what is your favorite Fire Emblem? Do you like the changes they made? Do you think, even though they're options, that they destroy what it means to be Fire Emblem? I want a good conversation in the comments below. And also, again, get out there, play some of these games. And Fire Emblem, to you, happy 25th anniversary.
Boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, subscribe.